Good evening, everybody. There's a lot of people. There's like, we had over 200 people RSVP for the event. So people are still joining. We have about 30 people who have joined. A lot more people are joining very shortly.
Let's just be patient a few more minutes and give people a chance, okay? Maybe 3-4 minutes more. Okay. Everybody's from all over, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So those of you who have joined, you can unmute and respond too.
Hi, my name is Sunil.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Hope everybody's doing well. All those who are listening, you don't have to unmute, but if you'd like to join in, please feel free. Just be very informal with it. If some questions or comments or just some general sharing comes up as we're discussing, please feel free to just either chat or to just unmute and interact with us. We invited, actually.
Sure.
Maybe just give them 1 more minute and we'll start. A lot
Sure.
of people have already joined. So.
I usually just do this live.
Yeah.
It's a new experience after, I don't know, since 1989, doing it live in person, but this is the new movement. No?
Era of technology.
Yes.
And virtual connections.
All right. I can only see Bob Francis. Hi, Bob. How are you? Nice to have you join.
Didi, on the right-hand side,
Yes.
there's a button called View.
View.
And it has got 9 little squares.
I see the gallery view. Okay.
Yeah. So if you switch it, you can see more people.
I do. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah. Okay, shall we get started?
Sure, please start.
Yeah. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. Breath is the new stress buster with Rajshree Patel. And I must say, it's my privilege to introduce Rajshree. Okay.
I think everybody needs to be muted because I'm hearing
Okay. Am I also muted? Okay, I'm not muted. Okay, good. So it's my real privilege to introduce Rajshree today for you all. So before we start going there, just like the way Rajshree was saying that, if you would like to, we want this to be a very interactive session. So if you have any questions or comments as we are speaking, feel free to type it in the chat box. I will look it up. I will read it for her. Or if you would like to ask it directly, unmute yourself and you can ask the question for
Please.
So make sure it's very nice and interactive. It's a lot of fun with her if you're interacting with her. Okay, so let me introduce Rajshree Patel, an attorney turned yogi. Rajshree Patel is a sought-after self-awareness coach, and she has transformed thousands of lives by teaching how the mind works, how to be stress-free, and how to live your life in the fullest potential. She's taught in over 35 countries. Oh my God, I think she has started over 600 centers or something across the world. And she also speaks in all the corporations, in the prestigious universities, everywhere. See, for me, I've known Rajshree. I call her Didi because she's like a sister to me. Didi means sister, so that's how I call her. And I've known her for over 10 years, and the personal guidance I have received from her has been incredible. I have no words to express that. So with that, let's welcome Rajshree. And if any of you have a question, you can start, or I can ask her and start the conversation.
Thank you, Bhavani, for that very generous introduction. Welcome, everyone. And I think before we even start with your questions, perhaps it would be important to start with the most basic, which would be to define stress. No? It's not that all stress is bad, because sometimes we thrive in stress. So we're really talking about stress which impacts our vitality, our enthusiasm, our energy, our clarity. When we feel like the demand on us is far greater than our ability and our output. When that happens in our system, when our mind or our body feels like, oh my God, there's too much to do, and I don't have enough energy or enough time or enough resources, then we say we are under stress. And it's this that we're talking about. How do we get out of a situation that's bogging us down and propel into thriving, into making the most out of whatever it is that we have to do? So with that definition, I'll turn it over for you, Bhavani, for any questions that you have, and then we'll get into the discussion.
Okay. Mm-hmm. My first question to you would be, you've been an attorney and suddenly you have turned into this yogi. How did that happen?
So, of course, looking in hindsight from A to Z, it feels sudden. But in fact, it's not sudden. In 1988-89, I was, as you say, an attorney living in Los Angeles, very yuppie life. And I happened to see a little advertisement that said, Pandit Ravi Shankar, a lecture, or something along those lines. And I naturally assumed that Ravi Shankar is the sitar player. He was a famous musician who passed away a few years ago. And so because I was new in LA, I had just moved from New York to LA, the city was new, the job was new, and there was a lot going on. So like any other person, I was looking to do something interesting, something new to go to. And when I arrived, I discovered that in fact it was not the sitar player, but an entirely different kind of symphony and music. And I had never been exposed to anything like that. Though I'm from India, there's often a preconceived notion that if you're from India, you know how to meditate and you've been exposed to all this. But actually, I was a very traditional left brain upbringing, very practical, very common sense. Get a job, your white picket fence, your 2.5 children, and so on and so forth. I had not been exposed to anything. And when I arrived, I realized that this was a master of meditation, master of self-awareness. And just out of curiosity, I think that opportunity comes our way. If we're willing to risk, then the universe reveals something to us. I don't even think that it's an accident why it's all of us listening to this moment and interacting together. And so I decided to stay. And I discovered breath as a new way not only to deal with stress, meaning give myself more energy, more enthusiasm, more clarity, more efficiency, but I discovered that it changed how I slept, how I interrelated with people, how quickly I comprehended a case, put it together, and showed up completely in the present moment, much, much more than I was before. I stopped paying attention to that white noise that goes on in our mind. What if I could have, would have, should have? Oh, the defense attorney said something that I had not thought about. Oh, the judge is asking a question that I had not thought about. All that noise kind of stopped. It went into the background. And I found I was alert, attentive, and present to what I knew and how to execute on that. So that was the big change for me, which then just made me greedy, to be honest. And I went on to do advanced programs. And there were tangible changes, as I said, sleep, more energy, more effectiveness, more clarity. But then something changed from the inside, which I just can't put my words to. However, I would say that, many of us, maybe if not all of us, we find ourselves in the middle of the night, waking up. We have everything. We have friends, we have family, we have health, we have a job, we have comfort. We're at whatever level thriving, but yet this question sneaks in that says, is this it? There must be more. And that magic, this internal conversation with myself from white noise went into a sense of, I'm home, I've arrived. This eureka of gaining something that's undescribable, not tangible, but I think it's what we all look for. So that's what started my journey into, quote, being a yogi, from a lawyer to this. 6 months later, I left my profession. I became I went to India. I started to train with the master directly himself. And now it's 25, 26-year-old journey where I've traveled all over the world and met some of the most amazing people, including you, Bhavani. So that's how I'm here.
Sounds very amazing, the journey. So you mentioned that you learned something about breathing and that it changed your mind. I mean, if I, to be very honest, when I looked at breathing, I thought it's for me to be alive.
Well, it's alive. You actually said it. Breathing is meant for us to be alive. Not just alive as in existence, but alive from the inside out, where we're vibrant, energetic, enthusiastic, committed to more of who we are and more of what we can be, rather than going in that conditioned, boxed thinking. And we would never think about it, but the first act of our life is a breath in. The last act of our life is a breath out. In between these two breaths, we have never really looked to discover the phenomenal secrets of breathing. And it's very ancient. It's been around for thousands of years. And today, positive psychology and neuroscience and biology is discovering the value of breath. It has the ability to directly change our thoughts, our perception, our outlook. And everything in life, quality of life, is determined by the state of our mind. How we perceive the world gives us the value of the world. The same exact thing, someone can perceive it as positive, glass half full, and someone else can perceive it as negative, the glass half empty. So what we experience is not necessarily in the object, but rather in us. It's an internal experience. And the breathing has the most simplest and the fastest and the most phenomenal way to get us to just flip our point of view, to see things from a wider angle, to center ourselves, to regroup ourselves without the analysis, without the judgment, without the time that it takes for us to arrive. So it is really the thing that makes us alive in all sense of the word.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is true. What you say, yes, yes, absolutely. So the title of the talk today, the interaction, this session is Breath is the New Stress Buster. So could you elaborate a little bit about the connection between the breath and stress?
Well, so stress, if I look a little further than what we said, if we notice when we're overwhelmed, when we think that our skills, our abilities, our time, our resources, our energy is far less than the demand that's being put on us, something very interesting happens to our mind. You'll notice that it starts to get stuck in the negative aspect of things. That is what we mean by stress. The situation becomes bigger than we. It becomes bigger than who we are and what we think we can be. And so in that moment, the mind then starts to spiral down. It starts to feel lack of confidence. it starts to compare itself to what has already happened, or starts to worry about what's going to happen in the future. Our mind, our thoughts become about yesterday and tomorrow. And what happens is when we get stuck in yesterday, there's nothing wrong in thinking about what has happened. In fact, there's nostalgia and there's joy in sharing and remembering, oh, it was such an amazing vacation. But if you notice, few moments later, the vacation conversation from how amazing it was turns into, oh, when it rained, remember what happened? Our mind gets stuck in what did not work in the past. And when we get stuck, we find that we go into a negative spiral of regret and anger and guilt and blame. And similarly, the mind jumps into the future when we're stressed. Oh my God, if this doesn't happen, what if I don't get the job? What if I lose my job? What if the economy changes? It starts to spiral towards the future. And of course, it brings hopefulness and excitement. But again, when it's stress, meaning when we feel more load than what we can produce in our own mind with our own resources, then the mind in the future brings fear or worry or anxiety. And at that moment, we don't know how to get out of it. And the trick is the breath has the ability to pull us out of the past, meaning the regret, the anger, pull us out of the future, fear or worry, and we find we're in the present moment. The breath is in the present moment. The mind, which is linked to it, also comes into the present moment. So then, two things amazingly happen. The moment we come into the present moment, we start to get more involved, more excited, more challenged, rather than seeing the thing as a problem. And the other thing that happens with the breath is it brings vitality, energy, juice back into our system. Our system is like a hard drive, if you understand it this way, where too many apps are open, too many files are open. If you have a computer with 25 different apps open, naturally what's going to happen, Bhavani, is the system is going to run slow, correct? All of the entire computer is going to slow down. That's what happens to our mind. It slows down. And so the breathing has this amazing ability to close up the additional open files and bring us back to a more energetic, thriving state. I'm just going to stop you a second. Is everybody still hearing me? Are you clear? Bhavani, you're still hearing me? Because I'm not hearing you.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So it's conversation at the moment, meaning breathing. We're all doing it. We're not aware of it. And as I explain it, it doesn't make an awful lot of sense. But if you look back, when we're angry, our breath is very specific. When we're sad, it's not like anger, but it's very specific to sadness. And when we're calm, when we're relaxed, when we're alive, the breath is in a third specific way. Not like anger, not like sadness, not like jealousy, not like frustration. It's specific to relaxation. So we are able to use the breath to change our mind, to change our emotion, and bring a more energetic, vibrant state into the present moment, so that suddenly we feel the demand on is smaller than us. The confidence goes up, the outlook changes, the energy changes, and then we do discover something deeper. We discover that, oh, it's in me. We stop struggling with the person, the situation, or the object outside, and suddenly we become in charge because we're operating from inside out. Yes?
Yes, there was some echo, so I had muted myself too.
No problem. I understand.
So I do have a question here from Mahesh Mittal.
Please.
So because you talked about emotions, so he's asking what to do when I'm in angry mood. How to stop at that moment to not say any unpleasant words?
Well, first of all, when you're angry in a certain way, no matter what I tell you right now, that possibility that it will stick with you and you will use it when that moment arises is not so big, because it's all the, best laid plans of mice and men. It's all this amazing advice given when we're calm. It doesn't show up when we're upset. Yet, if you have been doing this practice of breath regularly, what happens when you do get upset is you suddenly have awareness. You will find that you have the ability to take a gap between the anger that's coming up and the little frontal cortex voice, the little mind that says, wait a minute, Mahesh, don't say anything in this moment. And at that moment, you will remember to go back to some of the breathing tools that are given, so that you actually don't have to force yourself into being quiet, but the thoughts of anger dissolve, they disperse, they dissipate. Yeah?
Yeah. Does anybody else have any other question? You can send it in the chat box.
So something else, Bhavani, to understand, our emotions, nobody has ever taught us how to deal with. And notice that there's a direct relationship between emotions and our level of energy, life force. When our energy is low, then small things get us disturbed. When our energy is high, we have more willpower, more resiliency, more patience, more ability to say, oh, it doesn't matter, it's okay. A clear, simplest example is, if you sleep really well at night, you wake up 6 or 7 hours later, and you had deep sleep, level 3, level 4 sleep, you'll notice that small things or even big things just fall off. But if you don't sleep well, maybe you were tossing and turning, then you find you get upset for having the pen in the wrong place. You're used to having order, structure, things have to be the way they have to be, and somebody moves your phone from one place to another. Instead of just simply getting up and receiving the phone, there's so much energy that goes out. And unfortunately, we actually don't even rest well when we sleep, because the mind is constantly going. We really have never learned how to settle the mind down. And the other thing that breathing does, not just more energy, not just more focus, not just bring us more into the present moment, but it has this phenomenal ability to change our sleep patterns. It takes us into deeper levels of sleep. I'm sure if I asked everybody that's listening right now, and if you were just to think about it for a moment and contemplate, how many times have you gone to sleep, 6, 7, or 8 hours go by, and you wake up in the morning and the person says to you, how did you sleep? The person next to you. And you say, I don't know. I felt like I was sleeping or thinking all night and not really sleeping. You've had this experience, I'm sure. Or you know that someone else has had this experience. This is the time when our mind was supposed to settle down. The number of thoughts that go on in our mind is supposed to reduce. So we go from level 1, level 2 to 3 levels, 4 level of sleep. This is where children sleep, level 4 or 5. But as adults, we remain on the surface, which means thinking, planning, organizing, worrying, strategizing is going on throughout the night. As a result, we lose a lot of energy. We lose our stamina, our resiliency, and then small things disturb us. We lose our ability to have control over our emotions, our outlook. And so this connection between greater the energy, the greater our mind is vital, strong, is the missing link. And the way we can really harness, thrive, increase energy, there's many different ways. There are 4 main ways, and number 1 is breathing. People haven't realized it. We don't actually think about it, but respiration is the primary way we energize ourselves when we breathe in, and when we exhale, it is the number 1 way we detox, we empty toxins out of our system. Second is skin, meaning sweating. And then last only, it's waste product. But we don't use the value of breath. Most people barely, Bhavani, use 30% of their lung capacity. They barely breathe in 30%, and 80-90% of our toxins empty through an exhale. And it's the primary way we bring in source of vitality, energy, excitement, buoyancy, resiliency. And so it is a simple tool. It has no side effects. It doesn't impact anything, any way we have to breathe. All we do is teach you a simple, it's almost a mechanical process that has deep, profound impact, where we guide you through a specific rhythm of breathing called Sudarshan Kriya. And as you do it in a few moments, the mind empties itself of the thoughts that are not working for us, the negative thoughts, and simultaneously it recharges, rejuvenates itself. And then we carry that energy with us in our day. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. What you say makes perfect sense. In fact, you started talking about it. There's a lot of questions also here.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question is from Lizette. Can confidence be gained through this practice?
Absolutely. Look into a simple example that I gave. When our mind is negative, when our outlook is negative, when we are tired, the outlook becomes more negative, and somehow our sense of self, our confidence, our risk-taking goes down. Confidence is very clearly directly associated and related to the level of vitality, energy, enthusiasm, and positivity that one expresses and lives with. So there's a direct relationship with that. In fact, if you look, when your mind is, when your thoughts are just present, what's going on right now, then you will find not only are you very, very positive, but you also feel like you can do anything. And an example of that is children. They have the most amount of energy, anybody I know. Currently we have, 100, 150 people online. If we had 2 children, 5-year-olds, and all of us took turns playing with that 5-year-old, we would all be wiped out. But the child would be energetic, ready to go. And when they get tired, they take a 20-minute nap and come out more energetic than they were before. It's really a power nap. That's what a power nap is. What makes it powerful? They go deep into the layers of sleep. The mind goes quiet. They let go of the anger about yesterday, the fear about the future, and they just relax the mind totally in the present moment, and they fall asleep. Do you see? So positivity, confidence, sense of I can do this is very much tied to the level of energy that we have. And look, nobody's taught us how to recharge our system. We do it through, Red Bull, but that's not necessarily working, because after a certain amount of Red Bull, the mind starts to function restlessly, not clearly. And then sleep deprivation happens, and the mind is really needing to quiet down, to rejuvenate, and that doesn't happen. If your cell phone runs out of battery, or you see it's getting low, watch what people do. They start looking for the nearest socket. But when our mind runs out of energy, we don't know what to do with it. And the truth is, when people say, I'm exhausted, what is exhausted is your mind. It's your ability to internally process all the information that's coming to you. That's what's exhausted. It's not our body. If our body was really working, we wouldn't have to go to the gym. In fact, the body requires exercise. Why the body is not strong, why the body doesn't have energy and vitality, is because we're stationary, pretty much doing this as an exercise for the day. So body, mind operate with very specific principles. For the mind to be more energetic, it needs the principle of letting go, relaxation, shutting down the thoughts that are not necessary. And you'd be surprised. Men and women have an enormous number of thoughts. I don't know if you know, who do you think thinks more, men or women?
I think it's a tough question.
No. Women think
Of course.
more. It's because they're smarter. No, it's because there's emotions, and emotions create more thought. Men, electrical impulses of intelligence, that's what a thought is, in the same amount of hours, about 8 hours, have approximately 60,000 thoughts. Women have approximately 80,000 thoughts. Now, running a machine, your cell phone, that generates 60 to 80,000 thoughts, that much conversation needs to be charged. It needs energy. But we don't know how to charge this mind, which is generating that many thoughts. And the unfortunate part is they're not useful thoughts. Most people don't use hardly more than 5 or 6 thoughts. All the rest are reruns. They repeat themselves. It's like writing a book and not reading it. 60,000 thought is a book. And every single day we are sitting around writing a book, exhausting our system, not feeling vibrant and fully alive, and not aware of what we're saying internally all day long. Few thoughts are caught, and then we operate from there. How do you switch those thoughts? Where do thoughts come from? How do you become in charge of your thoughts? That's really what we're talking about. That is what makes breath the new stress buster.
That's really amazing.
It is. It really is. It is. Please.
Rajshree Didi,
Yes.
this is Paki here. I have a question here. I find the most important and the toughest challenge is to control the mind from all this negativity. And one of the techniques is breathing. But in the process too, I noticed that it's very difficult to focus or keep our mind focused on the breathing aspect. So as long as the mind is focusing on the breathing aspect, I see that there is positivity and I'm able to come out of that negativity for a while. But that process is not lasting for a longer while.
So listen, I don't know exactly the techniques we're discussing that you're talking about, but the entire conversation here is not about focus at all. It's quite the opposite. The more hyper-focused, the more concentrated the mind is, the more we need to go to what I just said 2 moments ago, which is letting go, relaxation. The way we energize our system is not when we're focused. When we sleep, if you stay focused, you will never sleep. If you really want to sleep, you have to let the mind drift, let it relax, let it move away. Then what happens is extraneous thought naturally quiets down. In the process of focusing, you are insisting internally with effort to hold on to some object, some situation, the breath, or ideas or thoughts, and so on and so forth. That is quite the opposite. It actually creates an internal loss of energy. So the techniques we're talking about is without focus, without concentration, following a certain rhythm. Not trying to achieve anything while you're doing the practice. Just the mechanical process of lifting a dumbbell and putting it down builds the muscle. You don't have to focus your mind into the muscle. If you do, the muscle builds that much faster. That's what we say about the body. But as I said, in the mind, hyper-focus creates more depletion of life force. It exhausts the system more. And so let go of the focus while you're doing the practice. Allow the breath to move through. Don't try to observe it, look at it. follow the rhythm of the breath that has been given in the practice that at least I am discussing, which is Sudarshan Kriya. And then the result, the byproduct when you're finished with that practice, few moments a day, is you carry greater energy, greater confidence, greater clarity into action, into activity when you need it the most.
That's wonderful. I mean, thanks a lot for the clarity here.
Sure.
It's really helpful. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Aditi,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the breath, there's one more interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
I do yoga and exercise regularly. Do
Mm-hmm.
you still think that I need these things?
Well, so in Vedanta, which is where these techniques come from, the entire focus of Vedanta is the art and the science of living your life. That's what it is. It gives tools and techniques. It is an education in which we learn how to handle our internal, spiritual, mental, emotional life. We spend 12, 16, 18 years learning how to handle matter, reading, writing, arithmetic, in order to achieve greater success in matter, in the outer world. In ancient India, there existed an education system of Vedanta. It's still there, but it's, slowly changing. Simultaneously, we would go to school for 12 years to learn how to handle the joy that we are, the mind that we have. And they gave different tools. So Hatha Yoga, what you are discussing, is one way to address the mind. It's one way to tap into the internal world and flip it so that we're more vibrant and more alive. And today, Hatha Yoga, as valuable as it is, I know that some crazy 20 million people, I don't know, do yoga in the world. In the United States, one of the thing is it has become more about body exercise than about vitality to the mind. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying there's some element of awareness and breath which is at some level lost, and the focus has become the strength of the physiology. So you'll be getting values through yoga, but then there are many other tools. And the breathing is a deeper, more profound way to impact the mind, as we've been discussing, in a very short span of time. Few moments a day. You don't need a yoga mat. You don't need a 3x6 space. You know what you need? You could be sitting in your office. Your boss is calling you in. There's more paperwork showing up on your desk. There are deadlines. It's time to go home. Maybe you're waiting for 5 o'clock to buzz because you have a son who has a soccer game or a recital or something, or your wife is waiting. You need to get home. And just then your boss asks you to do something. You're not going to have a chance to do yoga, but you could be sitting at your desk. In a few moments, nobody needs to know you're even doing it. You will take the stress out. You will become more energetic. And then you will discover, okay, instead of wasting time in the complaint mode of the mind, you will get present and you'll just do what has to be done. So you get out that much faster. So absolutely, there's an enormous value to breathing, to meditation practices, in addition to yoga. And then there's always eating right and sleeping on time and a proper mindset. But that's a separate conversation.
Thank you.
Sure. Any? Go ahead.
There are lots of questions. I'm just
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
So, so Samaria, how does one learn the breathing technique?
So at least for our purposes for this moment, the first thing I would ask you to do is to recognize how you breathe. So if you could just follow my instruction, you can continue to look at me. That's not a problem. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. And what I'd like you to do is take a long inhalation, longer than usual. So let's just follow me. Breathe in, longer, a little longer, and breathe out. Again, breathe in, long inhalation. And as you're doing that, I want you to notice, is your abdomen going in when you're breathing in, or is it going out when you're breathing in? And exhale. Again, breathe in. Longer, little longer, little longer, longer. Hold your breath and breathe out. So just from a show of hand, if you can open your eyes, when you were breathing in, how many of you found that your abdomen was going in? Let me see. Raise your hand, just quietly. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, at least that I can see. How many of you found when you were breathing in, your abdomen was going out? 1, 2, 3, 4 from the screen that I see. Now, what should happen? Breathing is a physiological response. We should all be breathing the same way, right? Because it's not like, ooh, if you come from India, it goes in, and if you come from China, it goes out. That's not the conversation. Only one thing needs to be happening, correct? So the first thing to know is when we breathe in, when there is an inhalation, diaphragm is down and abdomen expands. So this is the first thing to learn. And for our purposes, for this conversation now, what I would ask you to do is change the way you breathe. Be sure that when you breathe in, your abdomen expands and your lungs expand. Because when we do that, we not only take in more breath, more energy, but we also detox, cleanse, and empty more. And we're not just a body. We're not just cleansing our body. We are cleansing the mind and the body complex, both. So the moment you inhale and you increase the inhalation and you exhale and you increase the exhalation, you change the level of energy and you change the level of stress or detoxification that happens. The thing that I'm saying to you is when we are born, we breathe diaphragmatically. If you look at babies, their abdomen expands and relaxes in a very clear, very dominant way. When we're doing that, our system is in a state of relaxation, calmness, peace. But most people, because of stress, because of poor clothing, because when we get stressed, we contract our muscles, including our abdomen, shorten their breath. So the very first conversation in learning about the breath is elongate the breath. Beyond that, we have to learn it in a systematic way. It's very simple. There's just, a weekend, maybe 5-10 hours total, 4 hours, 8 hours total. You learn different techniques of breathing that you can use on your own, in the office, at home, to recenter, to regroup, to bring your mind back to the present moment. And of course, I don't know if our viewers know this, it is a one-on-one training. It takes, as I said, 8 hours or 10 hours to learn. But then when you go home, you have lifelong tools, something that you can use few moments a day, walking, sitting, trying to go, when you're not sleeping, to go back into sleep, into rest on a daily basis. And you learn it. On July 1st and 2nd, there is a program in the Bay Area. Perhaps at the end, you can show where our viewers can go to come and join that program. In fact, I'm teaching it. And also, I told you earlier that the master with whom I took the course back in 1988-89, he is going to be making a special appearance at the event. So that's a rare and a special opportunity to interact with him, to ask questions, and to go deeper in the practices. It's, it's the real deal, if you will. He comes from a tradition of masters where all this knowledge and wisdom was passed down orally. He is quite young in a certain sense. At the age of 61, that's where he is now. He has spread this knowledge and this wisdom all over the world to 140 countries with a simple mission. If an individual is stress-free, we will discover that our world is stress-free. It's just that, peace begins at home. Peace in the world, peace in the family, peace in the person begins at home with oneself. And breathing, as trite and as crazy as it sounds, is a phenomenal tool. I feel like, sometimes it's like being in Alaska, talking to an Eskimo about snow. It's all around them. Breathing is something we've done from the moment we're born, and yet here I am saying, go learn to breathe. And it sounds ridiculous, but we don't know to breathe correctly. We don't know to harness the value of the breath. We've never really been taught how to manage our mind, our emotions, how to flip our point of view when it's not working for us. And there's a special opportunity, July 1st and 2nd. So please put that up on the screen at the end. And I hope to see some of you there.
We will.
You have more questions?
Yeah, actually,
Please.
there is. Before I read the question, I could connect with what you were saying. When you learn to manage the mind, how it impacts our environment and our whole family. When I learned first, that's what happened. My whole family benefited out of it.
Yeah.
One person starting somewhere, everybody came on and learned, and I noticed that it was a huge change.
I actually remember you telling me it changed your relationship with your children.
Completely.
Isn't that
completely.
Correct? I remember you saying that.
Yeah. So.
Well, one mind makes 100 people happy, or it makes 100 people miserable.
Oh, totally.
So that's why I say peace begins at home. It's our responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lizette wants to know how to disconnect emotions from your professional life.
I hope the boss is not giving you too much trouble, Lizette. So sometimes a wider picture helps. Meaning, when we get bogged down in emotions that are not working for us, negative emotions, frustration, impatience, we put our heart and soul into work sometimes and we don't see the reward. So then the mind starts to contract. It gets narrowed in a certain sense. When that happens, one of the things that helps immediately is to stretch the mind. Expand what you're looking at. Include wider possibilities. Then you'll find that the mind goes more quiet. The more narrower our vision, the more locked in we become about some idea, some perception, some situation, the more we get stuck in what is not working for us. So the first thing I would say to you is expand your outlook. Stretch it. Look to other possibilities. So just an example, if you think something is happening at work because of A, then ask yourself, what other things could also be going on to make this happen? That's not to negate A, but to say, could there be B, C, and D also? Stretch your mind. The other thing, of course, naturally, is to utilize some of the techniques that we say when you're in the office and you're getting bogged down. Use the breath. Look, your breathing has the ability to change your emotions. If you're angry, the rhythm of breath is A. If you're bored, rhythm of breath is B. If you're depressed, rhythm of breath is D. If you're elated, the rhythm of breath is E. If A, B, C, and D are not working for you, anger and boredom and crying and depression is not working for you, the answer is really very simple. Breathe the breath of elation, E, happiness, joy, and you will change the emotion that is going on. The best way I can explain it to you, Lizette, is the experience of flying a kite. There's your mind. There are your emotions. The kite is the emotions. There you are in your office, and the kite, the emotions are going this way, that way. It's okay, not okay. I like it. I don't like it. Talking to yourself doesn't work. It's just not enough of a solution. It just doesn't work. And if your colleague next to you starts to give you advice, it makes you more frustrated. That doesn't work much either. So if you want to control the kite, which is your question, how do I control my emotions at the office? Don't talk to yourself. It's not about internal advice to yourself, but it's about playing with the string on the kite. The string is your breath. Either give more string or less string, or pull on the string, and you move the kite, you get control over the kite. It becomes steady. It becomes very powerful. I don't know if you've ever noticed, or if you've actually flown a kite, at some point it becomes so present, so steady, so centered, that the string, which is so flimsy, actually feels powerful. It feels solid. There is a strength in the kite and the string. You could let it go and it will hold steady. The secret is in knowing how to use the breath when your emotions are not serving you. Just a couple days. Learn it, and you'll see the tools will carry with you for the rest of your life.
Rajshree Didi, that was an excellent way to describe that. So coming to that part, does Sudarshan Kriya alone uh, help us navigate through the different types of breathing techniques to connect to each of those emotions, or to identify our rhythms in each of those emotions, so we can learn to cultivate the best one that would work for us?
Well, there's many different types of techniques. It's a very technical question what you're asking, but it's simple. Just this one thing, if you could recall to elongate your inhalation while your system is running in emotions, you would change something. Here's another second trick to remember. When your emotions are running, maybe you're in an office or in a situation where you just can't, you need to get a hold of yourself, so to speak. Elongate the inhalation, but then hold it for some amount of time. Don't immediately let the breath out. If you hold the breath for a few seconds and then release the breath, the emotion will change. You will release the emotion through the breath. You will change the emotion. So this is the second tool to remember. Hold the breath after breathing in, and you will definitely find that you have more control. You are harnessing the mind with you being in charge. Yeah? More questions, Bhavani?
Yes, Didi. So a couple of people have asked this question.
Mm-hmm.
How does breathing help with chronic health conditions?
Well, number one thing that breathing does, let's start backwards. What stress does is it destroys our immune system. The greater the amount of stress, the more toll it takes on our immune system. The calmer the mind, the more our immune system gets stronger. This is basic physiology and basic science. Stress reduces reduces the vitality of the immune system, and relaxation increases it. In fact, neuroscience discusses how stress impacts our genetics and the expression of genetics and the telomeres and the ability to impact gray matter also is there the more relaxed we are. So this is the first thing to know. If we are more relaxed through the use of breath, through the use of meditation techniques, through the use of the ability to change our point of view, then we naturally support our treatments in whatever we're doing in terms of illness, and we support greater health vitality, and rejuvenation. It's completely tied to stress or reduction of stress.
Yeah. Talking about immune system, that like the way you were sharing, I personally had about 15 years of allergies with all the allergy shots. And the moment I started, within a month of doing Sudarshan Kriya, I got rid of all my medications.
So you just reminded me of something. You know, when I first learned, they would say breathe in full breath, it would go, it was like, you know, kind of like that. And then I would struggle to exhale. There would be this skip in the breath, like that kind of thing, because there was this automatic pilot of mindset where I was holding my breath. I really wasn't breathing. And we started by saying, breathing is life, whether we like it or not, in many ways than one. And as soon as I became conscious, I became aware, then I noticed my breath could go to 6, 7, 8, 10 counts. It completely changed. And the moment I changed the breath, I suddenly had more control, more say over myself. It's a direct link. You know, you'll see a lot of people sitting around struggling to breathe, gasping for air. It's a sign there's stress, there's contraction going on in the mind and therefore in the body also. The moment you shift your breath, you expand the mind, you relax the muscles. Body and mind complex improve.
Thank you. I was going to ask the next question, but you already answered that question.
That's good.
Is there a way to measure the stress? You already said noticing our breath gives us the indication of what is going on.
I'll tell you how you could measure stress.
Oh, nice.
Add up the moments of your life in a week. Just decide 1 week or 1 day, 10 hours. And count up the moments that you spend with one of these emotions: regret, guilt, anger, frustration, agitation, worry, fear, should have, would have, could have. If this dialogue is going on, add up how much time in 1 day is doing that. 1 hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 4 hours. That is how you measure the amount of stress that's going on. You don't need to do a questionnaire. Just look and see, what is stress? It's these emotions. Any one of these emotions, that's what stress is. So add it up. Everybody wants more time in life. The reason we want more time in life is because we're stuck thinking about what's already past, or stuck thinking about what may or may not happen in the future. And so we're wasting precious present time in what you cannot change and what may not happen. And how do you know you're doing that? If you're feeling any of these emotions of regret and guilt and blame and agitation and frustration and comparison and jealousy, you are losing time. That is how you know how much stress there is. If you're not sleeping well, I suggest you put that in the pile of the number of hours of stress, because sleeping was a natural phenomenon. When we were born, we slept beautifully. Nothing stopped us from sleeping. Mom and Dad had to come and wake us up. We slept and we rejuvenated and we refreshed. But we don't do that. If we're not doing that, the amount of hours we're tossing and turning is an add up of the amount of time spent in stress. So how do you get out of that pattern is the conversation we're having. We're saying, look to your breath. There are many techniques. In this particular moment, we're discussing breathing. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many ways you've given us. Appan wants to know, I get a lot of negative thoughts and I try to get rid of them. How can I not get the negative thoughts at all?
Okay, so the more you resist the negative thoughts, the more they will chase you. This is the first thing. Negative thoughts increase when there is fatigue in the system. You can actually see it, you can measure it. When someone is tired, the number of thoughts and the negativity and the intensity of the negativity increases. So it's a sign that your mind needs more rest. That's the first thing. The food we eat, the company we keep, the people that are around us, the environment, the weather, all of this also affects our thought. So something that we could do is when there is a lot of negativity going on and there is a lot of demand placed upon us to function and to thrive, ease up on very dense, heavy food. That's one possibility. Eat light, juice maybe for one day. Easier, lighter, easily digestible foods. This will help. Number 2, take the pillow and go to bed. Get really a little bit more sleep. Put a limit on how much your senses are engaged. Talking, looking, thinking, touching, smelling, listening. The more our senses are busy doing, the more tired we become and the more negative the thought becomes. And the more tired we get, the more intense the negativity is. Meaning, our mind latches onto it more. So that's another thing to do. Just tell yourself you need to rest. Also, if you go into nature, go to the ocean, go to a river if there is one. Watch water moving. When you look, when your mind puts awareness, gentle awareness, it's not trying to hold on to anything, meaning not focus, but looking at movement of water. What happens? Mind is energy. Thoughts are energy. It drains out. The mind goes quiet and you rejuvenate yourself, because in nature there's a lot of energy, a lot of vital force, what Chinese call qi, what in Vedanta, in Sanskrit, we call prana. And so that's another thing to do. Go into nature. Go sit in your garden, sit under the tree and allow your mind to drift. This will lower and reduce the negative thoughts. And lastly, not easy to do, but really know that you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are a separate thing from who you are. You're not your thoughts. They come from somewhere. Only after they have arisen, you realize, oh, I had this good thought, bad thought, neutral thought, many thoughts. I like them, I don't like them. Only after they bubble up from some place, you go, oh my God, I don't know why I'm thinking this. I need to... All that stuff happens. Hey, wait, quiet down. They come from somewhere and they will go somewhere. If you don't fight them, the negative thoughts will settle down. But what you're doing is judging them. You're becoming identified to them. I'm having these bad thoughts. How do I get rid of them? I got to get rid of them. Never mind. 60,000, 80,000 thoughts come. A lot of them are negative. Just because you happen to be aware of 2 spots on your shirt, you're obsessing on them. Let them go. That's the 5th biggest technique in letting negativity go and bringing back the juice in life. Yeah?
Wow. Yes, absolutely. Maybe we can take one more question, one or
Please.
2 more. We have a little bit of time here.
Okay.
Swati wants to know, I'm unable to breathe the way you had described for more than 5 to 10 minutes at certain times of the day. Is there a way to increase the frequency to boost the practice and realize the benefits consistently?
Do it periodically. When you don't need it, do it. Train the system to breathe in the way I'm saying, not just when you need it. So what I would suggest is an energizer break. You know how you go for a coffee break in your office? So instead, sit where you are or walk towards the coffee station and start to elongate your breath longer than it can be and breathe out. Nobody knows you're doing it. Just start to do it 8, 10, 12 breaths. Around 3 o'clock when your energy dips. Before getting in the car to drive and fighting traffic and getting the mind stuck in the negativity, breathe. Do 8, 10 breaths before you get in the car. You will see that something will change. First thing in the morning, at bedtime, How you go to sleep, how you enter sleep is going to determine the quality of your sleep. How do we normally go to bed? Thinking, oh, I did this, I shouldn't have done that, that should have gone on. Oh. No. Get under your cozy covers and then just breathe long breath in and out, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. The moment you feel sleepy, go to sleep. If you introduce the breath like this 3 or 4 times in your day, you will see that throughout the day, when you're not practicing, when you're not doing the technique, it'll naturally follow a different rhythm that you did before. If you do something 2 moments a day, it impacts the 3rd and the 10th moment. You know, body and mind are meant to have rest and activity. Rest and activity. When we sleep, we have this pattern. We go deep into sleep and we wake up a little, and then we fall back into sleep and we wake up a little. But we just keep in wakefulness, keep running our body, our mind. We don't really pause. So I'm not telling you to take a lot of time. Just 5 minutes more. 4 times, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute of breathing. You will see it will change something. Yeah?
Yeah. Amazing short tips, Didi, that anybody can use in the day.
Correct.
You know?
That's right. That's what we can do. And then for more intensive work, we need to do a little bit more with it. You know? Just a little more. It's easy enough to do. It just takes a little learning time. And then you have the tools that you need. Okay.
Yeah. There is one question related to meditation and breath. So meditation just breathe in and breathe out? Or is there anything else that we need to do?
So there's many different types of meditations. I won't get into the different techniques of meditation, but understand this word, dhyana. In Sanskrit, in Vedanta, the word meditation is this word, dhyana. Dhya means to focus, means to concentrate. Na means negation of focus and concentration. It means relaxation. It means letting go. It means acceptance. It means saying to yourself, for right now, this is how it is, and it's okay. Giving permission internally to just say, it's okay. Let it be, it's okay. Whenever the mind can accept, can be in this moment of letting go, amiable with oneself, forgiving and kind with oneself. When the mind is like this, then you are in the act of meditation. And this is the active state of meditation. Then there are many different practices, as I said. And when the mind is relaxed, we naturally become more aware of our breath going in and out, or of our environment, or people, or surroundings. So meditation in this moment, I would define it as the ability to go back to saying, it just doesn't matter. I'm alive and it's okay. Just for a moment, being able to go back there. Then you value your breath in and out.
I think. One last question, Didi. After that,
You keep saying that. Go ahead.
It keeps coming, Didi.
Okay.
Well, okay. Oops, I lost the question somewhere here. So the question is, I breathe in through my nose. Do I need to breathe out through nose also? Or I can breathe out through mouth? That's the question going to be.
Look, the mouth is already very busy. It's eating or talking. It's enough. It's enough for the mouth to just function with meow, 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 meow all day, on the phone with people, and eating. That's enough function for the mouth. The nose, let's give it 2 functions, smell and breathe. It's best when possible to breathe in and out from the nose. That was its purpose. And of course, it holds up your glasses. So it's more impactful. The value of the breath is more when we breathe in as well as out from the nose. Yes? When you're getting bogged down, I'll end here. When you feel like there's too much going on, just know the answer to getting back to yourself is right under your nose. Just start to move your breath. Okay.
That's so. Go ahead, Didi.
I was just going to say thank you all for joining. Thank you, Bhavani, for joining me and facilitating this webinar together, the Zoom call. And I hope to see some of you at our program. If you have any other questions, please feel free to chat them. And I'm sure one of the teachers can perhaps respond back by internet through some communication. I don't know how. I'm not a very techie person, by the way. So,
thank you so much, Didi. Every time I'm with you, I've been for 10 years. I've been learning, but I still uncover the secrets of breath. That's so amazing to me, you know. And also it's very fresh and it's very new. I never get bored of it or never get tired of it, you know. Listening to it about the breath, it's been really incredible.
You gotta live.
You
can't get bored from breath.
Exactly.
You have to be alive. Look, we're all gonna die. This is fixed in life. But when the time comes to die, it would be great to be able to say, I really lived.
Yes.
Not regret, not I should have lived, but I really lived. And to say I really lived means you have a smile on your face and you connect with what matters to you, the people that matter to you, and you sleep well at night. This is part of saying I'm alive. Otherwise, it's a mule's life, as my father would say. So take care, everybody. So much.
Just a quick note, we will be putting up the information about the happiness program that's happening on July 1st and 2nd, which Rajshree Didi will be teaching. And also, if you have any questions, you can text to these two numbers, 408-644-7356 or 561-827-0939. And tomorrow, we will also have our teachers connect back with you if you have any questions. Maybe we'll take about 5 minutes of your time to find out if you have any more questions, so we can give you some more clarity about the program, about the logistics, anything that you need to know.
Tell your friends and family, invite people. Look, of course, I'm teaching the program, so it sort of doesn't serve the purpose, but given what's happening in today's world, it's an individual responsibility towards greater and greater peace and greater happiness, so that we make sure our family and our community is that much more settled. It's actually what drives me to be a volunteer for this organization and to give my time and effort and energy to impact each life. And again, I say, one life happy makes 100 lives happier, and one life unhappy makes 100 lives potentially that much more unhappy. So thank you all. If I don't see you, really, God bless. Be happy. Really be happy. Keep your smile on your face. It's your best gift in life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Didi. Thank you all for participating.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so how do I get out of this?
Leave the meeting right at the bottom.
Leave the meeting. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye, Bob. I see you still.
I haven't exited, so that's why.
Okay.
I haven't left the meeting. That's why I see you still.
That's all right. Bob, where are you?
I'm in Santa Cruz.
Oh, okay. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. My friend Goon talked to me about this.
Okay. She's an energetic bubble, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's a giant energetic bubble. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Biji, did I say your name correct? BJL? Yes? How are you? Did you enjoy? Was it informative for you?
Yes.
Very good.
Mhm.
And where are you?
I'm in East Bay.
East Bay. Okay.
Mm.
Very good. How did you find us?
I just stumbled upon the I just stumbled upon the event.
I understand.
Yeah, right.
I understand. What do you do?
I work part time now. Mm-hmm.
Work part-time.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Do you enjoy your work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's good. Very good. And do you go through stress in your life?
Kind of,
Kind of. In some ways, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of how much do we get affected by it or not. Is it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, very nice meeting you.
Well,
Thank you for
thank you so
joining.
much for your Mhm. It's
And-
very informative. Mhm.
Thank you. I see Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia. Unmute so I hear you.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. And you?
Good, good.
Where-
I really enjoy your talk today.
Thank you
Really-
so much.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Very nice. I come there a lot also. I don't teach. I do programs for companies there, like at the Gap and so on.
Nice.
Where are you
So
from?
lucky.
Where are you
I'm
from?
from Venezuela, but I moved to San Francisco 9
I
years
see.
ago.
We have a huge community of art of living in Venezuela. And as you know, it's a
Mhm.
country that really needs so much, of
Right.
it, just in terms of dealing with the violence. And we have very specific programs there. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Nice meeting.
Thank you. Nice
Yeah.
meeting you too.
All right. Bye-bye. I don't want to hold anybody up, but I see a lot of people. Bye, everybody. Take good care of yourselves. Again, I'm saying keep a smile. Nothing is worth losing it. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.